As soon as we got access to the internet, what was the first thing almost every Dragon Ball fan searched? Super Saiyan 5. And when we searched it, we all saw this iconic image, right? The long silver hair, the insane aura, the fur. It looked absolutely legendary. Back then, we genuinely thought this was the next evolution of Goku. But what if I told you Super Saiyan 5 actually has a chance of becoming canon? Yup, you heard me right. Now I know some of y'all are probably already typing in the comments, bro, Super Saiyan 5 will never be canon. But hear me out first, because this theory is way more interesting than you might think. To understand how Super Saiyan 5 could become canon, we first need to talk about the origin of Super Saiyan 5, because the story behind it is honestly insane. So let's go back to the early 2000s. A man named David Montiel Franco, also known as Tablos, posted an image in a Spanish Dragon Ball magazine. And in that image, we saw a mysterious Saiyan with long white hair, massive power, and a completely different look than anything we had ever seen before. Written on the image was something called Dragon Ball AF. Now back then, people believed AF stood for After Future. Fans immediately started making theories saying Dragon Ball GT ended, and this was the continuation. Everyone thought Japan had secretly started a brand new Dragon Ball series, and somehow we overseas fans had no clue about it. But here's the twist. That image? It wasn't even Goku, and nope, it wasn't Super Saiyan 5 either. The character's actual name was Spirit Killer, and the image was simply fan art. That's right. One fan-made image completely turned the entire Dragon Ball fandom upside down. And honestly, you can't even blame people for believing it, because at that time, Dragon Ball fans were starving for content. Think about it for a second. Dragon Ball Super did not exist. We had no new anime, no manga continuation, nothing major happening. GT had ended years ago, and fans desperately wanted to know what happened next. So, when this mysterious image popped up online, everyone lost their minds. People genuinely believed Super Saiyan 5 was real. And honestly, can you blame us? The design looked too cool to be fake. But then something even crazier happened. A mysterious manga creator named Toyble decided to create a fan manga for Dragon Ball AF, and no joke. This fan manga actually had a surprisingly good story. It wasn't just random fan fiction with overpowered transformations everywhere. It introduced original ideas, new threats, and one of the most iconic fan-made Dragon Ball characters ever, Xicor. Now, if you don't know who Xicor is, let me explain. Xicor was basically introduced as the third corrupted son of Goku, which sounds absolutely insane when you first hear it. The concept was wild, but fans loved it because he genuinely felt threatening. He wasn't just another evil villain screaming all day. He had mystery, presence, and actually looked intimidating. And yes, this fan manga also included Super Saiyan 5. But then came one of the biggest plot twists in Dragon Ball history. That mysterious fan manga creator, Toyble, was later revealed to actually be Toyotaro. Yup, the Toyotaro. The same guy who now works on Dragon Ball Super. Like, bro, how crazy is that? Imagine making fan manga as a Dragon Ball fan, and then later becoming the actual artist for Dragon Ball Super. That has to be one of the greatest anime glow-ups of all time. Because of this, the Dragon Ball AF manga was eventually discontinued. Toyotaro moved on to official Dragon Ball projects, and fans thought that was basically the end of Dragon Ball AF forever. But then, 2026 changed everything. Recently, Dragon Ball AF actually got revived by incredibly talented artists. And what makes this version super interesting is that it is directly based on the rough drafts and original ideas from Toyble's manga. So instead of completely changing everything, they're trying to stay authentic to the original vision. And this revived manga finally gave us something fans had wanted for years. An actual explanation of what Super Saiyan 5 even is and how it works. And trust me, the explanation is surprisingly interesting. So according to this fan manga, there are actually two different versions of Super Saiyan 5, one used by Goku and one used by Xicor. But before we explain that, we need to understand how this manga categorizes Saiyan transformations, because it actually divides them into three different evolutionary paths. The first path is the normal Super Saiyan path, which includes Super Saiyan 1, 2, and 3. This path specializes heavily in speed and combat ability, but there's a drawback: massive stamina consumption. Especially with Super Saiyan 3. We already know from Dragon Ball Z and Super that SSJ-3 burns through energy like crazy. Goku himself barely uses it because it drains too much stamina. Then we have the Great Ape evolutionary path, which eventually leads to Super Saiyan 4. This path specializes in stamina, endurance, and energy efficiency. Unlike Super Saiyan 3, Super Saiyan 4 allows users to maintain absurd levels of power while keeping energy consumption under control. It's a much more balanced transformation. And then comes the third path, the Power Type Saiyan path. This is basically the route that someone like Broly follows, specifically his legendary Super Saiyan form. This path focuses on raw destructive power and overwhelming strength. But again, there's a drawback. You gain insane power, but sacrifice speed and control. Now here's where things get really interesting. According to this Dragon Ball AF explanation, Super Saiyan 5 is the combination of all three evolutionary paths reaching their maximum potential. Think about that for a second. Maximum speed, maximum power, maximum stamina, all combined into one perfect transformation. That is what Goku's perfected Super Saiyan 5 represents. But Xicor's version, not exactly. See, Xicor actually failed to master the Super Saiyan 4 stamina path, meaning his Super Saiyan 5 only combines maximum speed and maximum power, but lacks the endurance aspect. Because of that, his stamina drains incredibly quickly. So technically speaking, Xicor's Super Saiyan 5 is incomplete, while Goku's version is the true perfected state. And honestly, that concept is actually super cool. Instead of just saying new transformation equals bigger power level, they gave it actual mechanics and logic behind how it works. But now comes the biggest question. How could our Goku actually achieve something similar? And this is where my theory begins. Now before y'all call me crazy, just listen. After Dragon Ball Daima, we officially saw Super Saiyan 4 become canon again. Goku achieved that transformation through Neva's magic, which basically mutated and altered Goku's Saiyan biology. This wasn't traditional ki evolution, it was something completely different. And that right there changes everything. Because in Dragon Ball, ki and magic are separate power systems. Magic operates differently. We've seen characters like Babidi, Moro, and even Neva use powers that completely ignore normal Dragon Ball logic. So what if Goku somehow learns or taps into magic? Now imagine this. Take Ultra Instinct, combine it with magical mutation, and allow that magic to evolve Goku's Saiyan DNA even further, similarly to what happened with Super Saiyan 4. What do you get? A transformation that may not officially be called Super Saiyan 5, but visually and conceptually resembles it heavily. Maybe something like Ultra Instinct Primal, or some completely different name. Silver hair. Primal Saiyan features. A more evolved Saiyan body. Perfect stamina. Perfect movement. Maximum power. Basically a spiritual successor to Super Saiyan 5. And if you think this sounds impossible, remember this. The guy currently working on Dragon Ball Super, Toyotaro himself, literally drew Super Saiyan 5 in the past. That alone makes this idea way less crazy than people think. And Dragon Ball has already taken inspiration from fan ideas before. I mean, bro, years ago, people used to make crazy fan theories about evil Goku, and then we literally got Goku Black. Fans joked about absurd transformations and impossible concepts, yet Dragon Ball constantly surprises us. So no, I'm not saying Super Saiyan 5 is guaranteed to become canon. But do I think there's actually a decent chance Dragon Ball eventually creates a transformation heavily inspired by it? Absolutely. Especially now that Daima opened the door to magical Saiyan evolution. And honestly, if done correctly, I think fans would lose their minds. Because whether you grew up with Dragon Ball Z, GT, or Super, almost all of us have searched Super Saiyan 5 at least once in our lives. But yeah, let me know what y'all think in the comments. Do you think Super Saiyan 5 could actually become canon someday? Or do you think it should stay a legendary fan concept? Now it's time for shout-out time from the previous video. Brandon27 Art commented, another thing that they need to change is the energy volley. You're able to dodge those easily even while getting hit. That makes it the most useless super in the game. And honestly, yeah, that's facts. They did that move so dirty. But yeah, that's about it for today's video. Like, subscribe. We're trying to hit 25,000 subscribers. And until next time, see ya and take care.